Well, I think that probably I've been largely bemusing them. I hope entertaining them and perhaps inspiring them. No, that they are a fantastic bunch of students, and I hope that I've managed to instill in them some of my own passion for place, because I think that that's not a bad thing to take through life with you. If you can insist that the place that you're in is actually meaningful. I was talking to my friend, the writer Jarek Kovac, recently, and he said that he thought that what I'd probably done with Northampton was the same as what Andy Warhol had done, in that Andy Warhol, as a gay man with a ridiculous wig, was never going to be admitted to the centre of things. He would be excluded forever. So what he did was to go away to the factory and to declare the factory is the centre of things. And Jarrett was saying that I'd done something similar with Northampton, by self-exiling myself here. I had declared, yeah, Northampton's the centre, everybody will have to come to us. But I hope that the students may have taken some of that overweening arrogance away with them. I do have a certain amount of personal knowledge of the art school that was here before the university, in that when I was excluded from the grammar school, and entirely my own fault, I'm sure, you know, I'm not sort of claiming that I was being ill-treated in any way, but I did apply to attend the art school, but the headmaster had apparently written letters to any local establishments that I might have been applying to and told them that they should not actually take me on as a student because I would be corrosive upon the morale and the moral fibre of the rest of the student population, which was probably true. It's a fair cop. So I didn't get into the art school. But no, I know more about the race course than I do about the educational establishments, but that's probably because I've spent more time on the race course than in the educational establishments.
We've had the last laugh because you've been invited several times to the university as a guest speaker.
Yeah,
so
well, I tend to find this. I mean, sort of, I am quite, insufferably proudly, I'm sure, I am an autodidact. When my education ceased at the age of 17, I realised that if I was going to educate myself and grow intellectually, then I would have to look after all of that business myself. And I think I've done a reasonably good job in that subjects which I was completely disinterested in at school, because of the way in which they were being taught, became fascinating to me once I was approaching them purely for my own pleasure and betterment. I became interested in mathematics, I became interested in history, I became interested in geography, I became interested in everything, in short. The education system with its parameters was stifling to the way that I wanted to develop my mind. And so it was only with the cessation of any formal learning that I actually began my education, which I think should continue until the end of our lives. I think we should always be learning, or always attempt to be learning. I think that minds are a bit like sharks, in that if they stop, they're kind of dead. So, yeah, those are my feelings. I would say, and this would probably be savagely hard advice, but then we are, I think, approaching savagely hard times. I would say that, yes, the arts have been consistently underfunded, overlooked, seen as a luxury, seen as it's not like that you can get a proper job in the arts, is it? And yet, when we look back at human history, at those times, those periods that make us feel proud to belong to this species, we're never actually looking back at, oh, they had a brilliant year for gross domestic product that year. Oh, you know, that they really shifted some cars during... No, we're looking back at works of art. We're looking back at the pinnacles of culture, because they are pretty much the only thing that give value to the human experience. What I would say in these times, when the arts are seen as an idle indulgence and the first thing to be jettisoned when the going gets tough, I'd say remember the power that you have in yourself as an individual. When I was, after being expelled from school, the headmaster was also sending letters to potential employers. I had about the worst life prospects that I can possibly imagine, short of being maimed. I was working in a series of dead-end jobs. At one point, I think I described myself as having worked as a toilet cleaner at the Grand Hotel, and that from then on it had been all downhill until I became a comic writer. But no, that's glib. My actual condition was that I was in a bleak, no hope situation, and I decided that I would rather make the attempt at realising myself as some sort of creative individual. Back then I still had delusions of adequacy as an artist, but I wanted to do something creative with my life, and that I would rather make the attempt and fail than to not make the attempt, because I mean, I found myself, when I was ostensibly trying to start a career, I found myself working upon this ridiculously epic strip that I was going to write and draw myself, that it would be probably 50 episodes long, and that I was going to just present it to 2000 AD and they would snap it up because it was going to be such a work of genius. And after about 3 months, I'd got one page penciled and inked, another page penciled and half inked, and another page that was just a few scribbles. And I thought, why am I doing this to myself? And I suddenly realised, oh, you're doing this because you know that you're never going to finish it. Because if you were working upon a product that you could actually realise and finish, then that would mean having to send it off to somebody. And that would mean them judging it. And they might say that, no, I'm sorry, this is rubbish, you're wasting your time. All of your dreams of one day being a writer or an artist, no, you were deluded. And then you wouldn't even have that dream anymore, would you? And I thought, yeah, that's what you're doing. And that is completely stupid, because that is, you're denying yourself any kind of creative fulfillment because you're frightened of rejection. When any spotty 14-year-old poet who's got to stand up and read his work in public for the first time can overcome that, when any karaoke drunk can overcome that fear, you know, that is cowardly. So I thought, yeah, work upon something that is realisable and sensible, send it in, have it rejected, learn from that experience, do something else, send it in again. Luckily, the first thing that I worked upon was accepted by the music paper, Sounds. And I, for a while, I was suffering from what I believe is called imposter syndrome, where you, and apparently a lot of people suffer from this, especially successful people, because you know that you are actually worthless, that you're not a proper writer, you're not a proper artist, you're not a cartoonist, that this is just some sort of scam, and that sooner or later people will realise that you are an imposter, that you are not actually qualified to do the job that you are doing, and they'll come and take it all back. And this was something in my mind for that first couple of years, and then eventually you realise, oh, this is how all artists and writers feel, isn't it? I am just part of that huge timeless community who don't think that we're worth the paper we're printed on. Once you get over that, then you can start to come up with a realistic assessment of your abilities, and you can start to try and improve them where they're weak. And there is absolutely no ceiling. You can, anything that you can imagine, you can bring into reality. That is the power of a writer or an artist, or the power of a magician, which I suspect is pretty much the same thing. Magician is just a perhaps more empowered way of saying artist. Yeah, you know, those things are sort of, yeah, that's how I see the situation.